Paul, what is your reaction to that?
I mean, Greeny, weren't we sitting here a week ago and Jim Harbaugh was talking about, I can't wait to get to that TRO hearing so I can be heard. I can finally have my side of the story. And that's the best he can come up with, quoting a make-believe caricature from television. I'm kind of stunned, really, that's all Jim Harbaugh can do. And I'll save the adjectives because I think we've used them all up. But it's just fairly disappointing because he had an opportunity yesterday to address all the bad news that happened last week. And what was that? His school caved in to the Big Ten. The school fired a coach, speculation that he may not even coach next year. And he quotes Ted Lasso. Brilliant.
Well, I mean, here's the point. For anyone who has not been following this closely, as I send it over to Heather, the things that happened last week were Michigan came out and said, we're going to fight this like crazy. We're going to court. We're going to get this overturned. State lawmakers are getting involved. This is an outrage. And then someone showed them something to which made them say, actually, on second thought, no, we won't. We're going to start firing our linebackers coach, even though our defense is dominant, and we're going to move on. Look, I'm not Perry Mason, but I think I can figure out between the lines what's going on here. So, Heather, let's deal in the game. Let's deal in the stuff that we know. No one knows the CFP better than you do. Can Michigan lose the game this weekend and still get into the playoff?
I would be shocked, Greeny, if Michigan got into the playoff without beating Ohio State, because if they don't, they have one win against a CFP top 25 team on their resume against Penn State. One win. The bar is extremely high in that committee meeting room for any team that does not win its conference, let alone its division. Michigan had 4 straight home games to start the season. No non-conference wins against Power 5 opponents. Those are all things that will keep Michigan out of the playoff if they don't beat Ohio State.
So then let me flip it on the other side, because Ohio State does not have that issue. They have the opposite of that. They played a much better schedule. They beat Notre Dame, who's had a good year. Can Ohio State lose a close game on the road and still get in, Heather?
I would give them a slim chance, Greeny, because this is the blueprint that got them in last year without beating Michigan and winning the Big Ten. The difference last year, Greeny, was that USC on Friday night was a number 4 loss to Utah and dropped out. This year, there are so many other contenders. Washington, Texas, Alabama, Georgia. Florida State is still in consideration even without Jordan Travis until proven otherwise. So it is going to be much more difficult for any conference to have a team finish in the top 4 that doesn't win its division or its championship, and it's going to be very difficult for any conference to get 2 teams in as we sit here right now without chaos.
So, Paul, Michigan versus Ohio State is always special regardless of the stakes. We have seen several years in a row now where both teams come in unbeaten, so it feels particularly important. When you add in all of the layers that this particular season has added, and Harbaugh not being on that sideline, how would you describe what we're all going to see Saturday afternoon in Ann Arbor?
I think it will be fascinating to watch, because the one thing about Michigan so far, Greeny, they won 2 fairly important games without Jim Harbaugh. He doesn't call the plays. He does play an important role. I mean, he is the team leader, whether he quotes Ted Lasso or Shakespeare. The players still look over to him, and he galvanizes them. I don't know how, but I talked to a recruit yesterday that's going to Michigan, and he said Harbaugh is not the same person in the sidelines and at the practice field than he is in front of the TV camera. So I think he can be effective. I do think the Ohio State defense may have something to say about it as well.
Look, it's one of the most interesting college football games I can remember in a long time because of all that's swirling around it, and these two will be ready for it all week long. Guys, thank you. Stay close by.